Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh, and today we are talking all about RAV4 Hybrid versus RAV4 Prime. From a dollars and cents point of view, see what I did there? Does it still make any sense to buy a RAV4 Prime here in 2024, where the RAV4 Prime has gotten significantly more expensive and there are very few incentives on the hoods of these RAV4 Primes to offset the higher costs of that RAV4 Prime? Now, if you guys have been with me here on the channel for any period of time, you know that we have owned our RAV4 Prime for about 2.5 years now. We love this car to pieces, would not trade it for the world, but we also bought our RAV4 Prime in a totally different market and time period wherein, believe it or not, this RAV4 Prime actually cost us less out of pocket than a comparably equipped standard RAV Hybrid would have cost us at the same time. So for us, it was a no-brainer, but those market conditions and that time is obviously long gone, and a RAV Prime today is considerably more and more expensive in 2024. So what I've actually done for sake of this video is I've gone to the Toyota website, made a ton of notes, and what we're going to do today is look at how much money you are actually spending to go from a RAV Hybrid to a RAV Prime. Now, before we get into the numbers, let me address the difference in performance because, as you probably know if you're watching this video, the RAV4 Prime does have a very significantly different powertrain. So with the RAV4 Prime, you're getting a much more powerful vehicle with 302 total system horsepower and 0 to 60 in about 5.5 seconds versus a RAV Hybrid, which only has 219 total system horsepower and does that same 0 to 60 sprint in 7.3 seconds. But that additional speed and power is honestly way more meaningful on paper than in practical real-world application. And if speed and power are at the top of your list of must-haves for your next compact crossover, you really should be looking at something more like a BMW X3 or a Porsche Macan, because those crossovers have been designed from the ground up with their suspension and their drivetrain and everything being designed to be performance-oriented. At its heart, at its core, this RAV4 is still a basic economical little crossover SUV. The power and speed we get here is really just a happy side effect of the different drivetrain and electric motors that come with a plug-in hybrid. But this is not and should not be thought of in any way as a performance-oriented vehicle, because I think if you go into the purchase thinking that, you're going to be sorely disappointed when you actually start driving this car. Okay, so with that, let's dive into the numbers here. And Toyota has actually made this super easy for me because with the current structure of the RAV Hybrid and RAV4 Prime lineup, we actually have two basically identical trims to compare. And we're going to start with the cheaper of those two, which is the SE trim. Today, the RAV Hybrid SE starts at $35,915, including destination. The RAV Prime SE, on the other hand, starts at a whopping $45,185. That is a difference of $9,270, and that's pretty significant. Now, let's talk about what you could do with that $9,270 by looking at how much fuel you could buy with that price difference. So, if regular 87 octane gas is $3 a gallon, that means that you could buy 3,090 gallons of gas for that same $9,270 price premium of going from RAV Hybrid to RAV Prime. If you're able to average 35 miles to the gallon in a RAV Hybrid, which is quite doable, those 3,090 gallons of gas would take you 108,150 miles. Let that sink in for a moment. You could pay for over 100,000 miles of driving for the same price that you would pay to upgrade from a RAV Hybrid to a RAV Prime. That's pretty significant. And so for the average driver who does about 12,000 miles a year, that's about 9 years of gas that you're spending in one hit by buying the RAV4 Prime. And so a lot of people have said to me, well, I think it makes sense for me to buy the RAV Prime because I can do all my driving on EV only range and I'm going to save a ton of money on gas. And like we just said, I just don't think that's the case anymore. It was for us at the time, but now today in 2024, you are paying $9,270 more to buy the RAV4 Prime in the first place. And that doesn't account for any of the money that you'll spend on charging on the electricity that this RAV4 Prime will take to do your daily driving on EV range. Now, electricity is and can be in certain places cheaper than gas, but still it's not zero. And so you're still spending money on energy that this car needs to drive. Now, let's do the same calculations we did on the SE for an XSE. So today, the RAV Hybrid XSE starts at $38,880, including destination. The RAV Prime XSE, on the other hand, starts at $49,055, including destination. That is a difference of $10,175. So even more than the difference we saw on the SE. Now let's do the same calculations on how much gas you could buy for that price difference. Assuming the same $3 a gallon for gas, for our $10,175 price difference, you could buy 3,391 gallons of gas. If, again, you're able to average 35 miles to the gallon, which is quite doable, those 3,391 gallons of gas would take you 118,685 miles. So we're way over the 100,000 mile mark at this point. And divided by 12,000 miles a year, now we're closer to 10 years of driving for the upgrade cost to the Prime XSE to XSE. And so really think about that. I mean, you are saving $10,000 or 10 years of driving by purchasing a RAV Hybrid XSE instead of a RAV Prime XSE. Now, some people here will say, well, I'm buying this car in cash, so it doesn't matter. And I can afford to spend all the money on the RAV4 Prime and the upgrade price and all that kind of thing. And I totally get that. But think about this. If you were to take that $10,000 of cost savings to go from RAV Hybrid to RAV Prime, and you were to put that in a bank account, right? Open up a new bank account, put that price premium in there. Now you have a bank account with $10,000 of cash in there that you could use. If you got a debit card to that bank account, you could swipe that every time you went to the gas station. And imagine having basically a prepaid gas account that will last you for the next 10 years or so, that you can just be, every time you need to fill up your RAV Hybrid, swipe that debit card, and you will never have to budget, or at least for the next 10 years, you'll never have to budget for gas out of your monthly budget because it's already set aside there for you. I think that sounds way better than paying that money up front on a RAV4 Prime. And I don't know about you guys, but any FOMO that I might feel about not having bought that RAV4 Prime and not being able to do 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds and not being able to drive around in pure EV range would be instantly negated every time I log into my bank account and I see my $10,000 of money that's ready to go for gas or any other kind of car maintenance or repair that I might need to do. That is what I think people should fear missing out on. Now, let's address those who can't afford to buy the car in cash and are financing it. Assuming your loan terms are set at 5% APR for 48 months, that additional $9,000 to $10,000 price premium means that over your loan term, you would pay an additional $977 in interest for the Prime SE and $1,072 in interest for the Prime XSE. Now, those numbers aren't nearly as big as the MSRP difference, but still, at $3 a gallon, $1,000 can buy you 333 gallons of gas. At 35 miles to the gallon, that would buy you 11,666 miles of driving. So basically, that additional cost and interest alone could buy you an entire year's worth of gas. And so I just don't see, honestly, any reason in this day and age that you would want to pay the money to buy a RAV4 Prime when the RAV4 Hybrid is in its own right such an amazing car. And it's funny, I get emails and comments, and I see on Reddit all the time too, people saying, oh, my brand new RAV4 Prime SE. And then someone else in the comments will ask them, oh, what was your out the door price? And then they say $50,000. And I'm just like, you guys, at my core, in my heart, I am a cheap little Asian man. And while I will spend good money on things if I think they're worth it, I just cannot in any way see a RAV4 Prime being worth $50,000. I can't. So anyway, thank you guys for coming to my TED Talk. Thank you for listening. I hope that this has given you some things to think about if you're in the market and contemplating this choice between RAV Hybrid and RAV Prime. You really, really, really have to do the math and look at how much driving you can do and how much gas you can buy for the same price that you will pay to upgrade to that RAV4 Prime. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you have any questions or comments or you want to know anything further, leave them in the comments down below, or you can always write me an email at the email that you see here on screen. I love getting emails from you guys, and so many of those emails do turn into videos that we do on the channel, just like this one. So shoot me an email or shoot me a comment. I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great one and take care.